Rodney O. All right, that's the brother right there, man. He's a good brother, man. He's a good brother. Yes, man. That's where I'm gonna go with this. First of all, he had to fight tooth and. First of all, Rodney O made this beat and he rapped on it. So that was very unique from back in the day. So back in the day, in those times, all the rappers, he came out in the 80s. All the rappers, they got their shit stolen by the record labels. The record labels stole all of their shit. So it took my man, I should have him on the show. It took him almost 10 years to get his masters back. Because what happened was, it was signed to some guy, signed to another guy, signed to another guy. One guy died. He was in court for like a long time. And he finally got control of his masters. And he only got he really only got like 3-4 songs that people know. You feel me? I'm overcharging for what they did to the Cold Crush. Jay-Z knows, bro. So he had to fight for this, and he showed me like how much money he's making now, right? Obviously, like his shit is old, but it's exactly what the brother said. What happened was somebody tried to sample it, and they did not clear the sample, and Rodney O was like, he wanted to clear it. You know what I'm saying? He wanted to clear it. It was like a big time West Coast guy. I forget what it was. You know what I'm saying? I should bring him on. And they could not clear it because it was foggy on where the money was going to go. So it was like, nah, they shut it down. So now that he owns his masters, he can control what happens to it. You know what I'm saying? He can control it. And so now he showed me his monthly figures. This shit is way higher now. So what I'm trying to tell you is, you had rappers back in those days, all of them, they didn't own their masters. Then like Jay-Z said, I'm overcharging niggas for what they did to the Cold Crush. Now you got Nipsey and Young Dolph and niggas like that. They own their masters 100%. 100%. But then you have a whole class of guys that are going back and selling their shit back to the man. I don't understand, dog. I do not understand. Why is Lil Wayne and Future selling their masters? My nigga, listen. Those are kind of assets that all they do is gain in value. So the price that you sell it for in 2020 is going to be way worse than the price that it's worth in 2030. So that's the problem with selling. You get locked in to the price that it is currently. Oh, really? I thought Dolph owned his masters. I apologize. What are masters? Your masters are essentially the original recordings of your master tracks, the very first copy. It's not so much a real physical thing as it is a concept. The master is the final product, the sum of the songwriting, the sum of the production, the sum of the recording, all rolled into one. Part of the deal when an artist is newly signed with a record label is that the masters of a new track will be owned by somebody else, the label. The reason for this, the reason for this is the way that the payment to the artist is structured. So these artists, you know what I'm saying? These artists, what they do is they get like they get a advance. They give you like $100,000. You know what I'm saying? And that is an advance on your future earnings. You know what I'm saying? So you better make sure that like you make a profit. So if you make $100,000 profit, then you broke even. And then usually in these situations, I'll call them brackers. These brackers own your masters. Okay? And so, any which way, so for Future, let me just read it. For Future to own his masters, the first thing I think of is he didn't own them outright anyway. Anyway, let's go over Prince. The conversation about masters are, and the reason why you want it is because you have control over what to do with it, right? And then you make your full money on royalties and publishing, which is a big time deal. So let's say a Future song is used in a movie. Well, that's a huge publishing deal. You see what I'm saying? That's why people want to own the songs. It's almost like whoever owns the masters might as well be the artist. You know what I'm saying? It might as well be the artist. You know what I'm saying? Because let's say like I made a song. It's my blood, sweat, and tears. It's my creativity. I made a song called Swipe Left. You feel me? My shit called Swipe Left. My shit blow up. But I signed everything over to Russell L. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? I get the shows. So the price of the show will go up and go down. I get paid for the show. But if it's used in a commercial, that go to Russell L. Or every quarter when the royalties go out for the spins on radio and all that shit go to Russell L. Tory Lanez won his master when they got Megan to lie and to swell his name, said Russell L. So it's very important, guys. You know what I'm saying? As so-called black people, we gotta start owning shit. We gotta start owning stuff. We gotta stop selling. You know what I'm saying? Think about Lil Wayne's children. Like, Lil Wayne is so worried about that. Whatever money he sold it for, I guarantee you, like, by the time he passes away or passes it to his kids, it's gonna be, I bet, how much money you guys is gonna be left over? So Lil Wayne sells it for $100 million in 2020. Okay? Let's say he dies in like 15 years. How much money do you think is gonna go down to his children? That's right, Derek. That nigga said $1 million. How much do you guys think, man? If this is all speculation, of course. Lil Wayne gets $100 million. How much money is he going to give to his children of that $100 million? Will all that money be gone? You know what I'm saying? I would imagine that, like, he's probably, like, left for his kids, it might be like 20% left. That's it. You know what I'm saying? I think, but at the very least, give your children the masters. Take some pride in owning your stuff. Why niggas gotta sell everything? Sometimes not everything is for sale. Sometimes it's just not for sale, dog. Like, sometimes shit just ain't for sale. Sometimes there's shit bigger than money. Real shit. Do niggas know about that? Sometimes there's things bigger than money. Ownership. Ownership. The power you got. You know what I'm saying? Look, I own your music, and then what if I just want to just put it in all LGBTQ shit? Now your songs are synonymous with transgenders and shit. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? What if I put that shit, you know what I'm saying? I said, you know what I'm saying? I put it to like snitches and shit. Like, oh, there's a snitch in a movie. He's gonna like listen to your music. So your music is gonna be synonymous with snitches and, you know what I'm saying? Like, ownership. Wow, well put. He says the selfish and low-level thing, said Derek, the editor. Russell said, you get in bed with them strange, funny people, this is the kind of shit that happens. The conversation about the master's artistic right and the way that musicians are treated underneath a label has become far more commonplace recently. There was a time not too long ago when the luxury of even having a conversation about these matters was completely off the table. Even some of the biggest and best stars who had all kind of fame and popularity still did not have the leverage required, so they wanted out of their record label. Prince was in exactly that situation. As he wished to have ownership of his masters from the record label in particular, Prince was utterly vexed with the concept that a label would retain ownership of a song even after it had been reimbursed financially, right? Going as far as to describe it completely abhorrent, right? So the label is basically like, all right, we're going to front you $1 million until you give us $1 million back and profit. That song is ours, right? That's basically what he's saying. Prince is like, my nigga, like, I gave you all the money back plus some. I should be able to own the song, right? That's what he's saying. Although Prince initially had a good relationship with his label, Warner Brothers, a relationship that saw millions generated in sales, eventually the honeymoon would come to an end. Prince had already established himself as a multi-talent musical prodigy. The ability to control every element of the creative process seemed almost destined to collide with the way that a record label prefers to govern its artists. Let's see what Prince got to say.
The bread.
Yeah, I think, there's a lot of speculation that Michael Jackson was killed because he owned, like, the Beatles masters and shit like that, you know?
December 31st, 1999. My publishing contract with Warner Chappell expired, thus emancipating the name I was given before birth, Prince, from all long-term restrictive documents. I will now go back to using my name instead of the symbol I adopted as a means to free myself from all undesirable relationships.
So the record label owned his likeness and his name. And so that's why he went by the symbol. You know what I'm saying? He went by the symbol and all that. Man, shout out to Prince, man. It's a beautiful brother, man. All right, let's see. The relationship with Prince and Warner Brothers essentially collapsed on itself. Along with that, there was a slew of public complaints from the artist, not only against not only Warner Brothers, but against record labels in general. He wrote "slave" on his cheek or whatever, right? Ever the rebel, Prince campaigned loudly for better artist rights throughout his career. It was a lifetime of dissatisfaction and malcontent that slowly built up his career over the struggles with his record labels. Although Prince protracted a multi-decade battle would eventually see a conclusion, other musicians still face similar problems today, struggling to buy back or regain control of their masters. Except for these niggas who wants to sell them. You know what I'm saying? They want to sell them as fast as they get them. Shout out to Rodney. Songwriters such as Taylor Swift still struggle to this day with the machinations of their record labels and attempts to win back their masters. If you don't own your masters own you. That's what Prince said. Never forget when Prince won Artist of the Decade, got up there and told everybody to get out of their record label contracts.
Well, it's not your game. You didn't make the rules, so everything comes hard. As long as you're signed to a contract, you're going to take a minority share of the winnings. A select few of us will do well. The majority will not. So as a people, we'll be considered a minority. But stop. Let's take a moment and look at yourselves. There's nothing minor about you. You are a blessed people. You're the most talented on earth, and you are still grateful. That is why upon winning in their game, you always thank God. Tonight I would like to ask one favor of you. Imagine what we'll all be like in our own game. Peace and love for.
Wow, that was dope. That was dope.